Hey everybody, Josh here with Local Legend. I'm going to look into a technique that's been used for decades and decades at this point. It's basically using gates and signal generators and basically just using gates in general in creative ways. So the main thing that you probably have seen before is using a gate and a signal generator to trigger a sub frequency for your kick drum. So we've got this kick drum right here. Let's take a listen. Sounds fine, but could add some sub frequencies to help it out, beef it up a little bit. So let's do that. We'll add a mono aux input here, Subkick, and add a signal generator to that. Take the frequency down to somewhere in the 50 hertz range. So right now it's doing this. Whole lot of nothing, but we got to put a gate after it. Put a gate after it. And we're going to use what triggers this gate is this key. So we're going to use a bus. So we're going to use bus 1. And because we're using bus 1 on the gate, that's where we're going to take our source and send from the source here. So the bus, put it up at unity gain and pre-fader so we don't have to worry about the volume of the original signal. And let's play that and get that rolling. Volume out of the signal generator. So all I was doing was basically raising this threshold so it's only triggered at certain points, so that basically the transient raises above a certain point that the gate would open. So now the gate's opening and closing pretty quickly. I'm going to make it close a little bit slower. Cool. Sounding pretty good. As we can hear, it's pretty natural now. We can, as we've changed the open and the close speeds, it's sounding pretty natural with the original kick, but it is still a sine wave. So let's add a little bit of harmonics to it. We'll go to the FabFilter Saturn. And they have a little 808 designer thing. So that's the tube setting. Let's try this old tape. Take up the drive a little bit. Sounds cool to me. Let's bring it in context. Cool. Instantly beefed up the kick drum. Sounds a lot fatter. And you can manipulate this in any way you want. You can change the frequency to make it lower or higher. You can get more of a ping if you go up in the 60 hertz range, or you could even tune it to the kick drum that you have. Take some sort of tuning software and figure out what the pitch of the actual drum is and match that, or you can match your song if you wanted to. I just kind of use it until it sounds cool with the drums that we have. That sounds good to me. Just adding that low end that I want. So we can use the same technique of using gates and keys on the snare. So let's try that. Doing the same thing, mono aux. The snare gate, this time we're gonna do, I'll mute this so we don't have some loud noises. And we'll do a white noise. We're just going to add some kind of different flavors to this snare and try to do something creative with it. So let's try that, and we'll add the gate next to it. Here we go. And put a key. Bus 2 on this one, and then from our source, same thing, bus 2. Unity, pre-fader. Here we go. Sounds pretty cool. So it's just kind of, it's actually the white noise generator kind of mimics what you would get with the under snare. And the cool thing about that is that, you know, if you have a snare drum that you either didn't mic the underside of, or you didn't get a good capture of it, this can kind of, you know, in some ways mimic that, or you can just use it as a creative tool like I normally do. So let's do that, but let's add a duplicate of that and pan them left and right and use pink noise instead of white. Pink noise is going to be kind of darker sounding. Let's see what that sounds like. That's a pink noise. Sounds pretty cool. You know, depending on the style of music, obviously, you know, you can kind of get creative with this. You can even distort that. You could, you know, you could EQ it in certain ways to make it only in certain frequency bands. That's the cool thing about using these gates and using these sort of triggers, is that you can manipulate them in any way you want to. So in the spirit of that, let's take these snare gates and continue. Let's add some harmonic, some melodic, I should say, content here. So let's move this down to a sine wave again and put it somewhere where it's actually going to create some sort of melodic sound, and add the this Eventide plugin called the Octavox. Let's see what that sounds like. So it's basically just sending the sine wave through the gate and then taking whatever that pure tone is and putting it through this sequencer that Eventide makes. And as you can see, these notes are being, you know, replicated by the plugin, and it just starts whatever the signal generator sine wave that you use is the note that you're starting at. So you can kind of use this as a creative tool and, you know, tune it to your song. But let's just keep going with that and see where this heads. Let's try to find some sort of melody. It's pretty cool. Let's add a reverb to it. kick drum as well. We're going to duplicate this. And on top of that, we're going to add the same plugin, the Octavox, and see what that does with our kick drum. We kind of get a more rhythmic thing from the low sub. The same echoes might work. Sounds cool. Alright, cool. So now let's try something a little bit different. And we're going to record some sounds in from YouTube. So with I'm using an Apollo Twin right now. You can actually just record in the monitor channel here. So just solo this up and mute it and press record. Find the sounds first. Cool. You can see it's coming in. Let's record that. Cool. Now we can stop that. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to trigger the rain sounds off of the snare. So let's try that. Take this out of record. Put a gate on. We'll use the same key as the snare, which is bus 2. And let's try that. Pretty cool. Cool thing about doing things like that is it adds kind of variability that you wouldn't otherwise have with kind of static sounds. And so it just kind of, you could take that, filter it, distort it, do whatever you want to do with it, and add sort of unique texture to whatever song you're working on. So very simple way to get creative with a simple drum pattern, using gates, using signal generators, and just manipulating those signals from there. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.